The Senate will come to order. Senators will be in their seats. The clerk will call the roll.
Alley, Baumgartner, Billinger, Bowers, Clays, Orson, Dietrich, Dahl, Erickson, Bag, Faust Godot, Francisco, Gossage, Haley, Hawk, Hildebrand, Holland, Holscher, Kirshen, Cluse, Longbein, Masterson, McGinn, Olson, O'Shea, Peck, Peterson, Petty, Pittman, Heil, Reichman, Steffen, Straub, Sullentrop, Sykes, Thompson, Tyson, Ware, Warren, Wilborn.
Senators and their guests, please rise and give prayerful attention to the chaplain.
Hallelujah. It is so good to be here. I'm not yet 100%, but daily I'm getting stronger. A special thanks to Doug, carried on. Continued in prayer day after day. And I want to thank each of you who prayed for me and my wife. I was in the hospital 3 weeks, rehab another 3 weeks. My wife went into the hospital the same day I did, 3 weeks in rehab. We just brought her home this past Thursday. And the therapists are now coming, and I don't like therapists anymore. They're trying to get me back to where I was, more powerful than a locomotive, faster than a speeding bullet, and able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Well, not quite. Not really. All the more reason why we need to pray. Heavenly Father, as sturdy and strong as we like to think we are, and as determined as we are to reach our goals, we find ourselves troubled with deficiencies. Our journey seems similar to the voyage of Paul and the 276 travelers that were with him in Acts chapter 27. The ship that was carrying them had been broken to pieces by a storm, but you led them that they were to hold on to the pieces, and you would use the broken pieces in helping them to complete their journey. In like manner, Lord, you make up for the broken pieces in our lives. Personal and professional relationships have been broken. We're traveling on broken pieces. As we get older, we can't do some of the things we used to. Why did I come in the kitchen? Was I going upstairs or did I just come down? We're traveling on broken pieces. But just like Paul, those traveling with him, Lord, we can rely on you to help us through. I'm praying this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen and amen.
Please continue standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Please note reference of bills on page 1 of the calendar. Messages from the governor. The clerk will read.
The process of drawing districts each decade is the core to ensuring that all Kansans have the opportunity to participate in their government and have their voices heard. The courts and the legislature have established case law and criteria on how to draw Kansas districts fairly and constitutionally. Several alternatives would allow for the same deviations as Ad Astra 2 while protecting the core of the existing congressional districts and without diluting minority communities' voting strength. I am ready to work with the legislator in a bipartisan fashion to pass a new congressional map that addresses the constitutional issues in Senate Bill 355. Together, we can come to a consensus and pass a compromise that empowers all people of Kansas. For those reasons, under Article 2, Section 14A of the Constitution, I hereby veto Senate Bill 355.
The chair recognizes the senator from Butler, President Masterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Says I need to explain the bill, but obviously everybody knows it's the map. It really is this simple, right? There's a lot of partisan activity when it comes around a map. It's understandable because it's lines. The truth is it preserves fairness, preserves the core, preserves the minority vote. Those are all factual things about the map. So with that, Mr. Chairman, the veto message of the governor having been read, I move SB 355 be passed, notwithstanding the governor's veto.
You have heard the motion. Are there any questions? Yes, the senator from Johnson, Senator Corson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm going to be voting no on overriding this veto, and I'd ask the body to do the same. I've asked the Sergeant at Arms to distribute Ad Astra 2 and the United Maps, as well as the congressional redistricting guidelines. And it's important that everybody here have a realistic sense of what a yes vote means and what a no vote means. A yes vote is a vote to subject our state to months of costly taxpayer-funded litigation that we have very little chance of prevailing in. The two most likely outcomes are one, a map that will be rejected by the courts and will be here in May as we're trying to adjourn, and we'll be forced to scramble or extend our session as we frantically rework the map. Or two, and I believe this would be even worse, for the second redistricting cycle in a row, we'd have maps drawn by unelected judges. By voting no, all this body would be saying is that it wants the redistricting committee to go back and work on a map that follows its own guidelines and can withstand legal scrutiny. During our debate, I was told that this was a political decision and that I was trying to make it into something legal. But the truth is, this is very much a legal matter. In just the past several weeks, we've seen similarly gerrymandered maps struck down in Alabama, Ohio, and North Carolina. And I don't want to see us suffer that same fate because no one wins in that scenario. Hopefully you now have the guidelines in front of you. They were adopted by the Redistricting Advisory Committee. And if this map passes, when the courts get this case, the first thing they're going to do is look at these guidelines, look at the map, and see if we adhered to our own guidelines. Every member has to make their own decision, but I would submit to you that if you look at these guidelines and you look at Ad Astra 2 through the neutral lens of a judge, it is not a particularly close call. We really are not even in the ballpark of meeting most of our own guidelines. If you look at Guideline 3, redistricting plans will have neither the purpose nor the effect of diluting minority voting strength. This is the most important guideline because this is the guideline that will be most closely scrutinized by the courts. And so I don't want to give you my opinion. I want to give you how this has been covered in papers of record. The Kansas City Star put it on January 18th. a Kansas Senate committee approved a congressional map Thursday that reduces the voting power of minority voters in Kansas's 3rd congressional district, which encompasses the Kansas City metro area. On February 3rd, the Kansas City Star wrote that Kansas Governor Laura Kelly rejected a Republican-drawn congressional map that would have split Wyandotte County, diluting the minority voting strength in the Kansas City region. The numbers are clear, Mr. Vice President. Ad Astra 2 removes 21,307 black people from the 3rd congressional district, decreasing by 45.78% the number of black voters in the black residents in the 3rd congressional district. Ad Astra 2 removes 22,947 Hispanic people from the 3rd congressional district, decreasing by 32.65% the percentage of Hispanics in the 3rd congressional district. The 3rd district would get 7% whiter. The black population would drop from 8% to 4.5%. The Hispanic population would drop from 14% to 10%. The 3rd congressional district currently has the lowest percentage of white residents of the 4 congressional districts. Under Ad Astra 2, it would now have the 2nd highest percentage of white residents. If you look at Guideline 4A, it says districts should be as compact as possible and contiguous. It's important that we read this as possible language the same way a court's going to read it. The way to think about as possible means that it would be impossible to create a more compact and contiguous map. So if you compare this in Guideline 2, it says as practicable. It's important that in Guideline 4A, it says as possible. There's real legal relevance in that choice of words, and we fail to meet that guideline. You've got in front of you the United map. The United map is more compact and it's more contiguous. So it's clear right off the bat that it was not impossible to make the districts more compact than they are in Ad Astra 2. Second, if you look at the 3rd district, what you have is too many people in the existing 3rd district. So what should be happening is that the 3rd district should be getting geographically smaller. It should be getting more compact. A map that would comply with the guideline would shrink the existing 3rd district. But instead of shrinking the existing 3rd district, Ad Astra 2 cracks Wyandotte County. It adds 3/4 of Miami County and adds 2 entirely new counties, Franklin and Anderson. If you look at Guideline 4B, there should be recognition of communities of interest, social, cultural, racial, ethnic, and economic interest common to the population of the area, which are probable subjects of legislation. This is also another guideline that we fail to meet. The redistricting committee has heard Kansan after Kansan testify about the interconnectedness between Johnson and Wyandotte when it comes to healthcare, transportation, economic development, and shared services. An interconnectedness that simply does not exist to the same extent between Johnson and Miami, and does not exist at all between Johnson and Anderson County and Johnson and Franklin County. And we've been down this road before. In 1982, maps were challenged, and a federal court said the logic is unavoidable that Johnson and Wyandotte County should be placed in one district. They represent the Kansas portion of greater Kansas City, a major socioeconomic unit. Although Johnson County is more affluent and fewer minorities live there, it is heavily populated and shares with Wyandotte the concerns of outlying metropolitan areas. The ties that bind the 2 counties together economically, politically, and culturally are significantly greater than those that divide them. I believe those ties have only grown stronger in the last 4 years and would be viewed that way by the court. But I've said I don't want this to be about me or about my opinion. So let's look at what elected officials in Wyandotte, Johnson, Miami, Anderson, and Franklin counties are saying. I think this body should take their word for it, not mine. We had Anthony Mersman, an Anderson County commissioner, told the Kansas City Star that, quote, he saw the decision to group his rural county with the KC Metro as a political move that dismissed the needs of his county. When asked whether Anderson County held anything in common with Johnson, Mersman laughed. If it has anything to do with trying to make it the same between Johnson County and Anderson County, You know that ain't going to work, he said. The only people from Johnson County that come down to Anderson County are driving down the highway, and they happen to go through because they've got to go to Oklahoma to go to a basketball game. Don Stottlemyre, a Franklin County commissioner, told the Kansas City Star that, quote, these two areas have totally different ideas on how to function as a government. Franklin County needs to remain in a district with more rural ideas. Tyrone Gardner, the mayor of Wyandotte County, said that, quote, the map doesn't reflect the will of the people from the 3rd District. A lot of people feel that the decisions are being made for this community, but not with this community. We had Becky Fast, the Johnson County Commissioner, said that Johnson County Commission has never met with Anderson County. We all serve on multiple committees with Wyandotte, from transit to water to transportation, and that Johnson and Wyandotte are metropolitan, suburban, urban-based counties, where Anderson and Franklin are agricultural farming communities with very different economic interests. With respect to putting Lawrence in the big first, does Lawrence have more in common with the rest of Douglas County or with Liberal? With the rest of Douglas County or with Goodland? Now, we heard this makes sense because we should have Lawrence and Manhattan together because they're the 2 largest universities, and that maybe about a decade ago someone said that would be a good idea. That rationale has been completely invented out of whole cloth after the maps were released. We had listening sessions in Manhattan and Lawrence, and not a single person, certainly not anyone in any official capacity with either university, said that it was important to have these 2 cities in the same district because they're a community of interest. Of all the states with multiple congressional districts, only Oregon has its 2 largest public universities in 1 seat. So this is not a guideline found in our guidelines. It's not an accepted guideline for redistricting more generally. The Board of Regents told the Kansas City Star that, quote, the board hasn't taken a position or offered testimony on any aspect of redistricting. The City of Lawrence and Lawrence Chamber of Commerce oppose Ad Astra 2. Chamber of Commerce said Lawrence has never been a good fit in District 1, and I think for obvious reasons. It's an ag region, speaking about District 1. So I believe, Mr. Vice President, that we should trust Kansans to be able to perceive for themselves what's in their best interest, what's in the best interest of their community. And what we've heard from leaders in Wyandotte, Johnson, Anderson, and Franklin, as well as Lawrence, is that these maps do not respect communities of interest and would not well serve their community. If you look at Guideline 4C, another guideline that we do not follow, the core of existing congressional districts should be preserved when considering the communities of interest to the extent possible. I won't repeat what I talked on about the failure to draw compact and contiguous districts, but there's been a new core completely invented out of whole cloth with respect to the 3rd District just to justify diluting minority votes. The Kansas City Star reported on January 18th, the Ad Astra map, quote, represents a dramatic departure from Kansas's existing congressional lines. A federal court told us in 1982 what the core of the 3rd District is when it ordered Johnson and Wyandotte put back together. It is the core of the Kansas City metro area. It's not far southern Johnson County and a sliver of Miami County. And that is consistent with what we heard from nearly every speaker at our listening sessions this summer. So I hope this has been helpful. I've tried to lay out in a factual and nonpartisan way all of the reasons why this map doesn't meet our own redistricting guidelines. And because this map doesn't meet our redistricting guidelines, because it unconstitutionally dilutes minority voting strength, because it will lead to months of costly litigation at taxpayer expense, and because leaders and communities across the state have stated that they don't believe they will be well served by these maps, I'd ask you to join me in voting no. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
The chair recognizes the senator from Butler, if you care to opine.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'll hold till everybody's had an opportunity to comment. Thank you.
Sir, senator recognizes the senator from Leavenworth, Senator Pittman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. My colleagues laid out a lot of facts here, important facts to consider. I know that's not necessarily convincing a lot of folks to vote no, necessarily, but we need to look at this from a body standpoint. We're setting a precedent here. We have maps on the Senate side that we're responsible for, as well as the House. We're redistricting. We haven't had a glance at any of the Senate maps that are being considered right now, and we're already trying to override this particular congressional map. And we're doing it in a vitriolic way. We're not working together on this particular map. We know this was presented by leadership. We understand how hard it is to necessarily not go along with that. We can do better as a body. You've heard some of the problems that will come up. We hear that this is a fair map. We hear this is the truth. And from some people's perspective, maybe that is the truth. From CD's 4 perspective, that's 99.6%, the same as it was. I really believe those folks feel like this is a fair map. But for those of us that are not in that district, it's not particularly fair, and it doesn't look fair to me. It looks as though we've been cutting up CD1, CD2, and CD3, and we can do better than that. When I ask my colleagues out in western Kansas if they have any Jayhawk bumper stickers on their car, they say no, we don't. In fact, a lot of our neighbors, nearly no one has a Jayhawk bumper sticker in CD1. Now, I might be wrong, I know that. And if I am, please, post them up on Twitter so I can see those. And when we look at Wyandotte, a county that went through the extreme effort to create their own basic constitution to say we are one. We are a unified government with county and city. To see them sliced in two as a unit of government that has said we are one, it's problematic. And that cut goes through the ethnic lines, and it goes through parishes, through religious communities, through educational communities, and it's a shame. We don't need to do that. There are other fair maps. One could say there's an infinite number of ways to slice this thing, to get the maps to be very low standard deviation. We saw one by my colleague from Brown that was particularly innovative. Went ahead and expanded on that. I'll hopefully be able to introduce that tomorrow. And it has a compactness ratio about 3 percentage points higher than this Ad Astra map. CD1 has a compactness ratio higher in that map than any other map that's been presented. In fact, all 3 districts are of a higher compactness ratio if we can go back and look at some of these other options. We don't need to have this override done right now. We haven't seen the Senate maps. We know there are some other options out there that are as fair, if not fairer, in my opinion. We can do better as a Senate body and extend out and understand that, yes, maybe all these maps go to the courts, and my colleague, who obviously has a legal background, understands what will be challenged on, but we can present something that's more bulletproof, that we then own as legislators, and we make the choice about where those lines are versus having those choices made for us. And the more we do that, I think the better we are as a body, and the better we are as Kansans. So I hope that at least a couple folks will join me and reject this motion. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Yes, the chairman recognizes the senator from Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'll be extremely brief. I rise in support of the sustaining the governor's veto and basically doing away with the Ad Astra map. And I'm speaking purely from my Senate seat and my area's interests. What this would do would basically cleave Lawrence and portions of Douglas County away from the rest of the county and put it in the big first district. To me, that is an economic disaster. When we talk to our constituents, everybody is concerned about the economy. It is important that each of us in this body not only look out for our own interests, but we look out for the other district's interest as well, too. And I can tell you from this senator's perspective on speaking on behalf of the 3rd district, it's going to hurt my Senate district's economic interest by losing a chunk of Douglas County and putting that into the 1st district. Douglas County's interests, for better or for worse, are tied to Northeast Kansas. We need congressional representation that recognizes it, not only recognizes it, Mr. Vice President, will work towards it. I strongly urge my colleagues on the Senate floor to take a bigger view on economically what's at stake, what unintended consequences this Ad Astra 2 map, if enacted, will wrought, and ask you to not support it. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Senator recognizes the senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I will yield to the senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
The chair recognizes the senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I do have 2 questions for the senator from Butler, if he would stand for them.
The senator from Butler will. The senator recognizes this. Chairman recognizes the senator from Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm awaiting the question.
The senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I was awaiting permission. So one question is it a fact that 4 voting districts in Douglas County, including 2 townships, were split with the Ad Astra 2 map into the 1st and 2nd district?
Senator from Butler, Senator Masterson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I think that is a fact and was done in order to achieve 0 deviation.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I also want to ask, is it a fact that the lines could be adjusted to only have that split affect 1 of these voting precincts rather than all 4 and still maintain the numbers?
The chair recognizes the senator from Butler, Senator Masterson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I don't have enough personal knowledge to know if that's factual or not.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. There was an alternative map introduced in the House that would reduce the number of split districts. Lawrence and Douglas County share representation by the Douglas County Commission, and they work together through the Lawrence-Douglas County Metropolitan Planning Commission. I believe that it would make more sense for Lawrence, for Douglas County, and in fact for the state to maintain Lawrence and Douglas County in the same district. At the very least, please don't split voting precincts. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
I will yield to the senator from Wyandotte.
The chair recognizes the senator from Wyandotte, Senator Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I thank the senator from Johnson. I can't add much to what we've already heard. I only want to appeal at this particular moment to the sensibility to oppose disenfranchisement in not sustaining the veto. Those who will override or support the override will take my district, the 4th Senate District, which is a part of the 3rd, and it would move us, as we've discussed during the map process, to an area that has nothing to do. We have nothing to do culturally. We have nothing to do in terms of interactivity. We share so very little, and it is a true exercise in disenfranchisement for the people of the 4th, who I proudly represent there in Wyandotte County, the northern half, if you will, of Wyandotte County, and moving us elsewhere. For what gain, for what reason, is one that I would ask each of the members, Mr. Vice President, who would vote to override, is this being done? We know that reason. Can you find in your own review of what you believe in, whether it is a compact county or keeping a community interest together, to find in yourself to support a map that has been shown to be blatantly disenfranchising, if you will, of the people that live in these congressional districts. I want to ask my colleagues, Mr. Vice President, I want to ask each of you, and let me make that pledge here as but one of our 40 voices, that if there's a subsequent map, I will support keeping your district or your counties together. Whatever other effort we have, I'm not going to stand on the rhetoric of partisanship or of diluting for whatever reason that might be. I will wholly support keeping your county together and not seeing it split as this particular map does to mine, which would disenfranchise greatly the voice that I, representing the most diverse, the 4th District is one of the most diverse state Senate districts in the United States in terms of the languages we speak, the cultures, and the races. We are in the top 5 in the United States. And to dilute having those voices, multiplicity of voices, to satisfy some the rhetoric of partisanship is something I would hope each of you would look to yourselves at and know that I pledge, David Haley of the 4th, to not see happen to you in the subsequent map that we'll have to consider should this veto be overridden and should this end up in court, which, as we've heard from more learned counsel, it certainly will. So thank you, Mr. Vice President, and again, I appeal to each of you to do for a contiguous and compact and a cohesive district that the 4th is, do for us, as I in turn pledge to do subsequently for you.
Chair recognizes the senator from Johnson County, Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I won't take long, but do have a few comments, and I think they're passing out an article that was in the Star this last weekend, and county commissioners who were elected by their constituents to represent them facing or talking about why they do not belong in the 3rd District with Johnson County. I'll let you read that, and I think the other senator from Johnson, Senator Corson, mentioned this, but the president talked that the truth is that this map does X, Y, and Z. The truth is we did not adhere to our guidelines. We did not listen to the testimony. We did not do our best work. And the truth is that we can work together to pass a map that is good for all Kansans. I saw it when we actually debated this because we were 2 votes short of sending this back to committee because this body did not feel that we had done our best work. And I say that because I had 3 members of my caucus who were out. So if they had been here, we would have sent this bill or map back to committee, and we could have shown a better piece of work. People are saying Ad Astra 2 is the only way that this can be done, and that is just not true. We have 2 other maps, actually, that were presented, debated on this floor, the United and Sunflower 3, that actually follow more of the committee's guidelines, and they have a voice for all Kansans, and it's not diluting the minority vote. I ask that you sustain this veto, you vote no, and let's show Kansans that we can work across party lines. We can put the good of all Kansans at the forefront and pass a map that we are happy to put forth and not abdicate our duty and give it to the courts. Thank you.
Senator from Lyon, did you wish to stand? No. Are there other comments? Seeing none, Senator from Butler, Senator Masterson, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and thank you for the indulgence of the debate. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? We have a debate, but in the end, we each have our opinion. I'll even concede bias. So what you've heard is a biased opinion of what you think. That's what we didn't hear anything that was legal in nature, because I contend exactly the opposite. I don't know how you look at this any other way. The Black American vote in CD2 and Ad-Astra 2 is higher than any congressional district in the current map. So we hear words like disenfranchisement, gerrymandering. I think what comes to mind actually is a quote from Princess Bride and Inigo Montoya. You keep using those words. I don't think they mean what you think they mean. Those aren't facts. Those are opinions. I do agree with 3 things that were said. We're probably going to have a legal matter. It's not even close. And a new core of the third was attempted to be invented. Because in all history of Kansas, Johnson County's been together. Wyandott's been in and out. Anderson's been in and out. Miami, Franklin, Douglas, pieces thereof. The core has always been Johnson County. You have to invent something new in order to contend something different. I am very comfortable defending this in court. It is fair. It does meet the guidelines. It is good for Kansans. We did listen to the people. And that's what will be tested. I'm very comfortable with it. So I ask you, please override this veto. Let's get this finished. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
You've heard the motion. We are now ready for final action. The clerk will call, Senator from Lyons, Senator Longbine.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. For the benefit of the body, could you explain what a yes vote means and a no vote means?
Thank you. Good suggestion. A no vote means, a yes vote means we override the veto. A no vote means we sustain the veto. Is that clear? Thank you, Senator. We're now ready for final action. The clerk will call the roll.
Ali. Baumgartner. Billinger. Bowers. Clays. Corson. Dietrich. Dahl. Erickson. Bag. Faust Godot. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Hawk. Hildebrand. Holland. Holscher. Kirshen. Luce. Longbine. Masterson. McGinn. Olson. O'Shea. Heck. Peterson. Petty. Pittman. Pyle. Reichman. Steffen. Straub. Solentrop. Sykes. Thompson. Tyson, Ware, Warren, Wilborn,
Has every senator had the opportunity to vote? Seeing 5 hands, the doorman will close the doors. The senators will be in their seats. The clerk will call the roll for those senators absent or passing.
Dahl,
Now's not the time to explain your vote, right? Okay, no. Oh, just a second. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Can I get a count?
24 aye, 13 nay.
Aye.
Holscher, Thompson,
Stand at ease. We are on a roll call vote. Senators need to be in their seats while we determine the whereabouts of the 2 senators that are not here. Let me remind you, we are on a roll call vote. Senators need to be in their seats.
Point of clarification, Mr. Vice President.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Can I get that vote count again?
$25 aye, 13 nay.
I think that's a miscount. We had 14 no.
Part of the senator from, I recognize the senator from Johnson. Would you please restate your question?
I think there's some confusion. Oh, sorry. There's some confusion. We thought there were 14 on our counts as no's.
Senators, be in their seats, please. Senators, be in their seats, please. The chairman recognizes Senator from Johnson. Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just I'm curious if you were able to find the senator from Johnson. I know one of the senators from Johnson is at a doctor's appointment.
If we're referring to the senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson, they're still searching. How about the senator from Johnson, Senator Holzer?
The Senator Johnson Holscher is at a doctor's appointment.
Thank you for the report.
All right. And I would say call be raised.
At this time, the chair will hold the call until all senators are accounted for. Senator from Brown, Senator Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I have a question concerning protocol because we usually try to call him, and he has a cell phone. I know he has 2 phone numbers. Has he been called?
To the best of my knowledge, excuse me, Senator from Brown, to the best of my knowledge, it has been called.
Has he been reached?
I cannot answer that.
So you don't know?
I do not know.
So he could be out of the state?
Is that a question?
I'm asking, yes.
I have no idea.
Okay. So how long do you intend to do this?
As long as it takes.
As long as it takes to what?
To secure where he's at.
Okay. And if you can't reach him in the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, what's the length of time you're going to take up and waste this body's time?
It's not my call, Senator.
Okay. But you're in the chair, Mr. Vice President, so I'm asking you.
I'm in the chair. It may take 4 hours.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you. Mr. Vice President.
Senator from Brown,
Ask
Senator
the
Powell.
Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Vice President, if he is actively pursuing a search in this building for the search for the senator from Johnson.
There are staff that are trying to contact Mr. Johnson. We'll let you know as facts come available. That's all I can tell you.
So they're only trying to contact him. No one's undergoing a search to find him in his office or in someone's office in the back or whatever?
And answer that. All I say is in
I
contact.
didn't assume you could answer it. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Hey, since we're here, I have a couple of questions. I understand that there's a diligent effort to secure the attendance of the senator from Johnson, and I believe that it's been made.
The senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes. Staff is attempting to contact them. We'll keep you posted as we go along. They have not been contacted. Senator from Leavenworth, Senator Pittman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'd just like to take this opportunity, since we're standing here in our seats with no staff or anybody in and amongst ourselves, waiting an indefinite time with no ability to raise the call, apparently, according to our Senate rules, just to point that out to the body that perhaps we should rethink this rule that we have there. We're out of control, and we've given ourselves to this fine senator here to decide our fate for how long we're going to be sitting here with no ability right now, according to our own rules, to get up out of our chairs to end this. It's a rule I feel we should change, but I just want to point out to the body the way this could be abused, not that it is, sir. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
The chair recognizes the senator from Leavenworth in your response. The chair will excuse you if you need to leave the room. Senator from Wyandotte, Senator Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Could we get a preliminary count again? I'm just a little confused as to where we stand.
I assume the count is the same, but I will repeat it. 26, 25 to 13.
25 to
13.
Thank you. Mr. Vice President, what is the constitutional majority necessary to override?
Senator, I believe it's 27.
Yes, sir. I believe so too, Mr. Vice President. So with 2 members missing, it's assumed, if we might for a moment presume that one of them were to support this, it would be then at 26th. And to make the presumption that one would not, were she or were that senator located. So that would be a Pyrrhic exercise now of our time for no discernible change in the probable outcome. In short, Mr. Vice President, we're standing here at ease or under the call for what would be no change should you locate either or both of the senators who have not posted up. Would that not be a fair assessment?
Senator, we're on call of the Senate.
Yes,
when we close the votes, there'll be opportunity to change your vote. There's still opportunity to change your vote and explain your vote in addition to an additional vote.
Mr. Vice President, I'm familiar with the procedures. Thank you, having served as long, if not longer than everyone. I'm just trying to find out at this point why we're looking or why we're waiting for what will probably not be much of a change at this particular point. Anyone who is here may change their vote right now. So that could be done. Ostensibly, we're waiting for 2 members who have not cast their vote, but it won't change or probably would not change what the outcome would be. And just hoping to expedite so as not to waste any further time and to move the process further. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes the senator from Johnson, Senator Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I got a question. I guess I'm struggling here with the call be raised question. And did we take something out of our rules that doesn't allow a call to be that motion in order?
Thank you, Senator from Johnson. The rule has been, on the House side, a motion can be made to lift the call. On the Senate side, it is the President's choice and the chair when the call is lifted.
It's interesting. I don't remember it that way, but okay.
Hello, Mr. Vice President.
Senator from Wyandotte, Senator Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senator from Johnson, Senator Olson raises a good point, and I know you responded. Would we be able to find, while we're here, where it is one person, the President's prerogative to maintain a call of the Senate that we would not periodically be able to raise with a significant number of hands? I don't recall that either, and apparently I'm not alone in that. If you or the Secretary of the Senate might provide where that is, that's the sole prerogative once it is raised with the requisite 5 hands, and it cannot be undone, I'd appreciate having that while we're here waiting for a time yet uncertain.
We will try to determine that answer. Senator from Wyandotte, Senator Haley.
Mr. Vice President, the diligence of Senator from Johnson has pointed out in answer to the question in the rules of the Senate found on page 17 of the latest incarnation under section Rule 38A, and I think it's a bit ambiguous, but certainly it's not. I'm sorry, B, subsection B, no motion to dispense with further proceedings under the call of the Senate shall be entertained until the President shall be satisfied that the Sergeant at Arms has made diligent effort to secure the attendance of the absentees, unquote. So we will have to leave it to the diligence of our President, Senator from Butler, Senator Masterson, that he is making diligent efforts to secure the attendance of the absentees, and we will rely solely on his compunction and integrity that is certainly a diligent effort he's undertaken. Thank you.
Senator for Brown, Senator Pyle.
Just a follow-up. As I read this, it says that no motion to dispense with further proceedings under the call of the Senate shall be entertained until the President shall be satisfied that the Sergeant of Arms has made diligent effort. Sergeant's standing right up here. He hasn't even left the chamber, Mr. Vice President. Just a point so that everyone listening in and the press can see Sergeant of Arms is the one that has to make a diligent effort to satisfy the President of the Senate, and it's hard to see how that's being done. So if you can explain how that's being done with Sergeant Arms here in the chamber, Mr. Vice President, I'd like your explanation, please.
Thank you, Senator from Brown, Senator Pyle. That role, as you can imagine, like so many things, has been delegated to Lair. Senator from Leavenworth, Senator Pittman.
Mr. Vice President, I just want to give a report. While I was out using the facilities, I did take a quick jaunt by Senator Thompson's office, and he wasn't there.
Well, that's a new status report, and I thank you.
Yep, and apparently no one in the office knew where he was either.
Senator from Cherokee. Can't find your county here.
Mr. Vice President, I'm from Montgomery County. Could I be excused momentarily to visit the northwest corner of the building?
I would prefer you go to the restroom, but you're excused. Senator from Lyons, Senator Longvine.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Could I volunteer to be the one that goes with him to make sure he comes back?
Your wish is granted.
Those two switch over there. I'll stand up. Are we supposed to explain? Did he say we can explain our vote now? I think he said we'll change our vote or explain our vote. It didn't.
Chair recognizes the senator from Johnson, Senator Gottschalk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm due to testify in committee on the House side. May I be dismissed?
You surely may.
Thank you.
The senator from Lyons, Senator Longvine.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I am scheduled to address the 200 members of our credit union in a panel discussion at 4 o'clock. Can I also be excused?
What is the time right now? Yes, you may be excused. Chair recognizes the Senator from Leavenworth, Senator Pittman.
I'm on that same panel, and I wouldn't want there just to be one party voice on that address to those 200 members of the credit union. Is it possible that I could also accompany Senator Longboyne to that event?
Your wish is granted. Chairman recognizes the Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I've got a 4 o'clock Zoom meeting for Sparks Subcommittee, and it's our initial meeting. Was looking for permission in my office if you need me.
You may go, and when you're done, come back to the Senate floor, please.
Nice one, Michael. That was a great move there.
The Senator from Finney, the chair recognizes the Senator from Finney, Senator Dahl.
Thank you, Mr. Can I go to number 1?
My response is very measured, but please return when you're complete.
I appreciate it.
Mr. Vice President.
The chair recognizes the senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. May I get a drink of water if I stay in the room?
That is a very mild request, and we can grant that, of course, providing you return to your seat. Senator from Shawnee, Senator Cluse.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I too would like a few moments to go visit the facility.
Your wish is granted. I might remind you, as one group goes, another group cannot go until the first group comes back. So,
sure.
You may
and if
go.
I could
Thank
add
you.
something, my colleague here from Montgomery was a little taken back that you didn't remember where he was from in his county. So I said I would help you in that because I had something that helped me in that. And I was thinking a few days ago, I had one of these ancient Montgomery Ward snow blowers that I sold at my store. And I thought of the good senator from Montgomery. So maybe that will help all of us.
Must have been in Montgomery Ward. You may go. The senator recognizes the senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Permission to go get my laptop?
Absolutely. The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Aletha Palace-Gadot. Sounds good, just as long as you're right back. The chair recognizes the senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
Mr. Vice President, may I make a brief respite and be right back here?
Granted.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Ware.
Thank you. It's my turn to ask to run to the ladies' room.
Would you please repeat that?
Would I please repeat that? I say it's my turn to request an exit to the ladies' room.
It's granted. Thank you. The senator from Shawnee, Senator O'Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I also join?
One at a time, until they
May I
return.
be next in line?
When they return, you may go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The chair recognizes the senator from Riley, Senator Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm a sympathetic, apathetic, diabetic, old man with a marked propensity towards sloth and procrastination. May I have permission to eat my anti-diabetic foods at the back of the chamber and possibly take one of those other breaks I've seen other people seem to enjoy so much?
It sounds like I may be too late. You may go. Senator from Shawnee, you're excused. Chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator McGinn.
Permission to go to the restroom?
Yes, of course. Chairman recognizes Senator from Johnson, Senator Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I wanted to see if it'd be okay to take a bathroom break.
It appears to be okay. You're granted. Chairman recognizes the senator from Shawnee.
May I get in the queue to go to the ladies' room, please?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we should wait till the next person returns. Thank you. The senator from Shawnee is excused, please. Right, just like first grade. The chair recognizes the senator from Miami, Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Could I have permission to go upstairs to my office to get my items before it gets locked up?
You sure may.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Senator recognizes the senator from Wyandotte, Senator Petty.
Thank you. May I be excused to use the restroom?
You may as soon as the senator from Miami returns.
But she's in her office.
You may go. The chairman recognizes the senator from Ford, or senator from Meade, Senator Reichman.
May I go use number one?
Absolutely. Chair recognizes the senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Somebody from Computer Services has a piece of hardware for me. May I get that?
Yep, you may. You'll return, I hope. The chair recognizes the senator from Brown, Senator Pyle.
Permission to use the men's room, Mr. Vice President.
You sure may.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes the senator from Saline, Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Permission to retrieve a phone charger.
Yes, you may. The chair recognizes Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson.
Permission to go?
It's granted. Chairman recognizes the senator from Sherman, Senator Billinger.
Yes, Mr. Vice President. May I be excused to use the washroom, please?
You may, sir. Thank you. Chairman recognizes the senator from Finney, Senator Dahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to change my yes to a no.
Very good. Senator from Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. My secretary needs keys. May I take them to him?
Of course.
Thank you.
The chairman recognizes Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Pascadoe.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I was wondering, did you order pizza yet?
We have not.
Oh, darn.
The chair recognizes the senator from Butler, Senator Masterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bathroom break, please.
Yes, sir. Chair recognizes the senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. May I be excused? I'm getting a bottle of water brought down from the office.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
Restroom break, please.
It's granted. Chair recognizes the senator from Leavenworth, Senator Pittman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Can you refresh what the count is now?
Aye, 14 nay.
Mr. Vice President, in all your graciousness, I'd ask you if you would actually reconsider and raise this call. We're at 24 votes. I think you've made a great effort. I just would ask if you could do that for us.
The chair will take that under consideration. Chair recognizes the senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I vote yes.
The chair recognizes the senator from Butler, Senator Masterson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I changed my aye to no and ask that the call be raised.
All is lifted. We will now go to every senator has had an opportunity to vote. Does any senator want to change their vote? Does any senator want to explain their vote? The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. "24 in favor and 15 against, a two-thirds constitutional majority, not having voted in favor of overriding the governor's veto on Senate Sub 355. The motion does not prevail, and the veto is sustained. The chair recognizes the majority leader from Cali.
Point of order.
I move the Senate adjourn until 2:30 p.m. on Tuesday, February 8, 2022.
Out of order, and I am in the chair, and the majority leader is speaking and has made the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
No.
No.
No. Division.
Ayes carried. Seeing hands adequate? All those in favor of adjourning, please stand. All those in no, please stand. We have to finish this vote. I am the chairman. "24 in favor of adjourning, 13 opposed. Now, roll call is in order. Clerk will call the roll.
Alley, Baumgartner, Dillinger, Bowers, Clays, Corson, Dietrich, Dahl, Erickson, Bag, Faust Godot, Francisco, Gossage, Healy, Hawk, Hildebrand, Holland, Olsher, Kirshen, Cluse, Longbine, Masterson, McGinn, Olson, O'Shea, Peck, Peterson, Petty, Pittman, Pyle.
I'd like to explain my vote. Mr. Vice President, I was standing before you recognized the majority leader. And you jumped deliberately over, and I believe another senator was standing, and you deliberately recognized the majority leader for a motion to adjourn. I vote no.
Would you like to have your words spread across the journal?
Reichman, Steffen, Straub, Solentrop, Sykes,
Mr. Vice President, I vote no, and I'd like to explain my vote. There were two senators standing. You had not given the floor to the majority leader, and he spoke out of turn. And you have failed Kansans today by stopping the vote in conversation on this, and I am appalled.
Would you like your words spread across the journal?
I would.
Thompson, Tyson, Ware, Warren, Wilborn.
Has every senator had an opportunity to vote? Senator from Butler, Senator Masterson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I can't let those accusations stand. I sat right here. The majority leader was standing first, and recognized in order. The primary motion is a motion to adjourn, which makes the point of order out of order. Period. First man standing, right here. I was watching because I understand the games that are being played. So, Mr. Chairman, that is why my vote is aye.
The senator from Butler. Senator from Butler, you care to cast a vote?
I'm Senator from Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I vote to adjourn. Yay.
Thank you. Senator from Brown, Senator Pyle.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Well, I appreciate those comments. You know, I've heard a lot of things saying it's the truth about the map and et cetera, but the truth is we can do better. And what we've seen displayed on this floor today is the fact that no, they don't want to start over. But I will just make a point, even God started over after the flood. So tomorrow, some of you tonight, your phones are going to ring, your email's going to buzz, and there's going to be an attempt. So Mr. Vice President, could you clarify the rule, and if you need the Secretary of Senate to help you do this, how long is the time period do we have to make the motion to reconsider?
The motion to reconsider has to be made the same day or the next day.
So that would be tomorrow, right? We have till tomorrow.
Tomorrow is the next day.
All right, thank you.
Senator from Wyandotte, Senator Haley.
I vote no to adjourn for many of the reasons that have been expressed. Mr. Vice President, we have, and Kansas is watching how this has played out, as we have sat here for a couple of hours in a transparent attempt to unsuccessfully override now the veto. And the motion for reconsideration should have played out today. It should have had an opportunity to have been heard. The House, I believe, is waiting on our action today. They are in recess, and we have squandered the time of the legislative process in an attempt to subvert the will through what I imagine I can already hear the sounds of bones breaking over the course of this evening and tomorrow. I trust that the vote will be similar tomorrow if that motion to reconsider is made, because of the integrity that we each hold for each other and for the squandering of each other's time today by playing what is now transparent as a ridiculous legislative game.
Would you like your words spread across the journal? Senator from Leavenworth, Senator Pittman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. You know, the Senate President might be right. Maybe the Majority Leader was standing. Maybe he had the floor. And a motion to adjourn is always in order and might take priority. The games being played, though, were procedural notions, I'd say, from the others that were standing up, and perfectly valid in the legislative process. I do feel like we had a game played on us today, Mr. Vice President, making us sit here for so long, looking like elementary school children, without having to ask to get up, with no legislative recourse as a body because of the rules we agreed to. So I do vote no. I think our legislative business wasn't finished, but more importantly, I urge this body to relook at that rule and give our members a voice back and take us away from the tyranny of an individual and bring us back to a democratic process in this body, Mr. Vice President. Thank you so much. I don't need my words spread.
Are there any other change of votes? Any other explanation of votes? The clerk will call the roll. Excuse me, the clerk will tally the vote. Close the vote and close the roll and tally the vote. What is it, 20? (26) having voted in favor and 13 opposed, the Senate is adjourned.